not saying that he intended to do it, but what I am saying is he's lying.
I'm going to come out and strongly defend Alec Baldwin. Let's go.
Hey, now would be a great time to cry on command. Wild SUV that was driven by a spooky ghost.
Don't stop. I can't remember the lyric. It just came up, Alec Baldwin, I did it my way. And it's like, yeah, it looks like you did, mate. Maybe that wasn't for the best.
Bullets don't do zigzags. Narcissistic maniac. Is there something worse than ending somebody's existence? Reckless, ending of someone is a crime, and
what? The reckless ending of oh yeah, that famous crime.
It had some sort of vendetta against me. That prop was probably a Trump supporter.
What? The idea that it was a spooky ghost and he's mocking it seems somewhat absurd to me. I've got to be under the covers by 7 p.m. because wifey normally brings home one of her friends.
Rookie armorer who's clearly not good at her job.
There is a less than 0% chance that Jeremy Hambley, TheQuartering, is a cuckold. You're gonna have to bear with me. Oh God, okay. I wanted to watch the whole Alec Baldwin interview, but okay, this is perfect actually because I know a little bit about the Alec Baldwin situation. Okay, so we'll watch this one, and yeah, it'll be good. So what's the deal here? Alec Baldwin gives unhinged interview, says spooky ghost pulled the trigger. Okay, let's have a little butchers and see what's going on here, shall we? TheQuartering. Been a while.
From TheQuartering.
Hello.
And old Mr. Baldwin decided, hey, now would be a great time to cry on command and do some sort of weird interview for ABC News in some attempt to run some level of damage control on the pushback that he's getting and the criticism that he's getting. To all the people defending him, this guy did this interview by choice. He went on TV, he put makeup on his face, and he lied. I
love the fact that this is probably the kind of person that would have gotten mad when people mocked Kyle Rittenhouse for crying, yeah? And been like, of course Kyle's traumatized, of course he's got problems. But when the shoe's on the other foot and it's Alec Baldwin, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, he's just crying on command. When Alec Baldwin literally shot someone, accidentally shot someone, It's so funny to me, like how inconsistent these people are. They pivot on a dime, bang, straight away they've got a different position on it, And you'll notice, he's got what's this? He's got nerd dolls. So he's got this Cara Dune. What's the name of that actress? The one they all were jerking off over? Gina Carano. That was Gina Carano's character, isn't it? And then they've got some Pokemon thing here, Genesis, a Game Boy, all that other stuff. Nerd paraphernalia.
Lied hilariously to the news agency, to the public, to the parents of Helene. He tried to pull the hilarious, how we don't talk about, whoever was driving that SUV. It was an SUV that, a wild SUV that was driven by a spooky ghost that did everything right up the road from me here. Apparently, Alec...
Wait, is he talking about the that person that crashed into a crowd, a Christmas thing in Wisconsin, right? Is that it? Wow, Kesha. Is that the don't stop? I'm thinking of that now. Kesha, remember Kesha? Don't stop. I can't remember the lyrics. Don't stop. That tick tock on the clock. Yeah, that one. Make it drop. Never stop. All that stuff. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. It seems like it was like a sort of a thing for a while and then it stopped. And look, I'm going to be real with you, okay? I'm gonna hit you with a hot take. I think that it doesn't really suit the media to push that to push that one super hard, so they don't bother. They just report on it and move on. It's not a story that really allows the media to sort of significantly push a certain narrative line or whatever. So yeah, I kind of feel a bit like I don't know, that there is a grain of truth in some of the critiques in the media over that one. That being said, That being said, I think that the quartering saying it was a spooky ghost or something is crazy. Like, I think the media, to my knowledge, just kind of reported on it and said this has happened. This is a person that was arrested for it, and that's kind of it, more or less. I don't know. But yeah, obviously, I mean, yeah, the Alec Baldwin stuff is the Alec Baldwin stuff is bigger because he's a big actor, and you know, he is anti-gun. Yeah, I saw some of the stuff he posted. Maybe I haven't seen what you've seen, Travis. I wasn't really sold on the idea that they were like a hardline Black Lives Matter type of person. It just seemed like had maybe somewhat progressive in some of their views from what they posted. But yeah, I mean, another, I guess, more charitable angle in terms of like, because the car thing, there's not really much contention there in terms of like someone plowed a vehicle into a crowd of people, which is obviously terrible, but like, where's the disagreement, really? You know, it's kind of like, yeah, it's bad, it happened, they shouldn't have done it. You know, we'll see what happens at the trial, but it seems pretty condemning. Yeah, Travis, yeah, that's probably a good way to do it, right? That'll be more of an insight, I guess, when you get to the court proceedings, you can find out a bit more about what's going on with it. I don't know whether it will get the same widespread coverage, though. Like I say, like, I don't know if it's like quite the same level as some other stuff that's happened. I don't know. Maybe I should look into it a bit, but I haven't really seen much come out that's like particularly interesting or like, oh my god, this is crazy, you know. But I do think that the media probably is reporting it differently because there isn't much juicy there to get into, you know, something like that.
Like, is claiming that a spooky ghost is the one that actually pulled the trigger. He didn't do that. Never mind, by the way, that the prop that was used is a single action revolver. So you basically have a firing pin on the hammer and no transfer bar safety. There's only two ways that discharges. Either you pulled the trigger, or in some crazy event you had the hammer down and you dropped it and it landed a certain way, landed right on the hammer and had some sort of discharge like that.
With this, yeah, a single action revolver, my understanding, that's what you have the cowboy reload, where they'd only load 5 chambers out of the 6, and it would sit in your holster, and the hammer would be resting on like an empty chamber, because if too much pressure got applied to the hammer, it could accidentally set the round off. So it's not if you drop it even necessarily. It could just be that it was in your holster, you know, and that's why you had to do the old cowboy reload on it. But I don't know, any gun experts in chat, is it possible that the gun could have discharged without pulling the trigger? There was something lodged in the barrel, apparently. It's possible. It can happen. No. A freak accident, very rare. I mean, yeah, it's an old single action as well. Like, maybe there's some sort of mechanical issues or something with it, maybe. We know that the safety standards on STEP were like somewhat lackadaisical. It's more likely if the gun maintenance is war mechanics. Yeah. When the pistol, you have to cock the trigger. Oh, right, okay. Also, can the pressure of the trigger be different? Maybe he rested his finger on the trigger and it went off. Oh, guns have no internal safety. Anyway, here's my point, right? Do you think it's possible that the gun could have discharged without the trigger being pulled? Or maybe it was handled, right, in such a way as to somehow trigger the gun without actually pulling the actual trigger itself? Like, I think, for me, the idea that it was a spooky ghost and he's mocking it seems somewhat absurd to me. I'm going to come out and strongly defend Alec Baldwin. Let's go. Come on.
I'm not saying that he intended to do it, but what I am saying is he's lying. And then they're circling, like, it'd be one thing if, I mean, this single action, we know that he had to pull the hammer back too. Did a spooky ghost do that too? It's unbelievable that the media is running this. Unbelievable. He writes, I didn't pull the weepy Alec makes shocking claim.
But wait, the media is just reporting on what the guy said in the interview. Is he going to play the clip?
He didn't pull the trigger in his first interview since October 21st.
I was going to watch the whole interview, but I think I can just watch the I didn't pull the trigger bit, and that'll be enough, right? So Alec Baldwin, I didn't It just came up, Alec Baldwin, I did it my way. And it's like, yeah, it looks like you did, mate. Maybe that wasn't for the best. But I did not shoot the deputy.
She was someone who was loved by everyone who worked with and liked by everyone who worked with and admired.
Alec Baldwin reveals all in our drama, in our dramatized... Imagine if they did a dramatized reimagining and one of the Baldwin brothers played Alec Baldwin. And in order to make sure it was realistic, one of the Baldwin... Oh, no. What if they did it, right? They did a reconstruction, yeah? One of the Baldwin brothers played Alec Baldwin, and they had another live fire incident and someone else was shot and killed on the set. And then another Baldwin brother had to go through all of this. Imagine the memes if that happened. So, yeah, I don't have like a massive problem with saying that seemed genuine and he genuinely seems cut up about it. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Of course, a tearful Baldwin went on ABC News' George Snuffleupagus. He had no idea how the live ammo ended there. I believe he didn't know. I believe that. I would never point at anyone and pull, never. But he did. He did. This is like an undeniable fact. If you're going to say, we can at least admit you pointed at her, right? Because bullets don't do zigzags.
What's this? Guns fire without pulling the trigger if you want to see for yourself. I'll watch after I've watched this because I don't know if it will be able to go in the YouTube thing. And I want to try and keep it quite tight for my editor. But yeah, I'll watch it after.
Unless they ricochet. This was a perfect line of sight that you had. So again, that's another lie. Authorities had previously said that Alec was holding it while rehearsing a scene when it accidentally discharged. Someone put a live round in it. It wasn't even...
Yeah, I was a bit tentative, but yeah, this guy's chatting a load of nonsense. I was like 90% sure that a gun can discharge without literally pulling the trigger. I've heard about it. I've read about it. I've seen it like in movies, but obviously it's not exact, but that's a thing that happens sometimes. Yeah. So basically TheQuartering is just completely wrong on this.
It's supposed to be on the property, Alex said in the interview, which is set to air in full on Thursday. What's crazy about this is that this narcissistic maniac, the only reason he's doing this interview is for his own reputation. He's not doing this because he felt like it was a good way to honor Helene. He's not doing this because he actually cares. He's doing this because he's getting ruthlessly criticized in the media. That's why he's doing it. It's not even like up for debate.
I guess, yeah, like he's an actor. He's a Hollywood actor. He's got to get his message out there at some point. If this has happened, this probably, I don't really know what else Alec Baldwin can do, because at some point he's got to break whatever silence he's got. He's got to come out and say, hey, I'm still here. Yeah, something went terribly wrong. Sorry about that. I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot the deputy, that kind of thing. I don't really know what else he can do. What other way is there for someone so famous to kind of deal with this issue? But nonetheless, even if that's the case, it does seem fairly genuine. And like I say, I think he genuinely is going to be upset about having shot and killed someone, particularly as he's pretty anti-gun, isn't he? From what I understand. Yeah, it seems pretty genuinely cut up. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It seems genuine, and he's just acting like it's a load of nonsense, and also that he's just bullshitting that he didn't pull the trigger.
Why what his motivating factors are here, and at one point in the hour-long interview, imagine watching this for an hour, Baldwin could be seen sobbing and placing his head in his hands. Asked if the film event was the worst thing that's ever happened to him, he said yes. Well, is there something worse than ending somebody's existence? He also paid tribute to her and said it didn't seem real. I think back to what I could have done, he said. She was someone who was loved by everyone who worked with her. What could you have done? Well, I don't know, not pointed at her, cleared the prop. You could have looked at the prop before you used it. There's a lot you could have done, Alec. Again, I don't believe that there was any intent.
I think he's saying that right rhetorically, right? He's like, oh, what could I have done differently? He's not asking for Jeremy TheQuartering Hambley, to give his hot takes about what he could have done differently.
There, unless there was, some information out there that I don't understand or that, that exists that the public doesn't know. I've never been one of those people, who want like the stiffest charges for him. But I do think reckless, ending of someone is a crime. And, maybe he thinks getting out in front of the media and crying.
What did he say?
I think reckless, ending of someone is a crime. And
what? The reckless ending of that famous crime. You are hereby charged of recklessly ending someone. What does that mean? It doesn't matter. Get in the fucking van. We're going to take you to court right now. Recklessly ending someone is a crime, apparently, whatever that means.
Maybe he thinks getting out in front of the media and crying on cue, on camera, will somehow prevent him from being charged. Now, I do think, and I hope that, the local PD looks at this like it were any other case. I don't, if you don't like cases that are politicized when it's like Kyle, then they shouldn't be politicized.
No, Chud, when I'm in a moment of completely depression and I despairingly cry, could my life get any worse? I'm actually inviting smug bastards to list all the possible answers to that question. Yeah, I'm really struggling with this. I must ask the guy who cries about anime titties being smaller on the internet for advice. Yeah, when someone says they're getting in front of it, it means they're putting a statement out before there's like the press coverage and everyone starts talking about it. This happened did this happen in October or November? Honestly, I can't remember. Time's like a flat circle. But I'm pretty sure that this happened in October or early November, didn't it? August? Nah, come on. It didn't happen in August, did it? There's no way. There's no way this happened in August. You're winding me up. No, it was October. It was October. I'm sure it was in October. Because that's when I covered Tim Pool's video about it. You made James Lindsay mad. Oh, yeah, I saw you were like quote tweeting each other. That's pretty crazy. I wouldn't say Alec is responsible as an actor. Producer, maybe. Yeah, that's basically been the take on my channel we've talked about, and other people have had pretty much the same take. Maybe as a producer, not as an actor. Wasn't really like his job to like check the gun or whatever. So yeah.
For Alec. However, this is, at least some sort of negligence, right? He's going to be sued into oblivion. That's a fact. Investigators revealed developments as they sought permission to search the prop company and an Albuquerque strip mall that provided the Western with props. As of right now, no charges have been brought, but they haven't yet ruled them out. Baldwin's claims are in direct contrast with what Mamie Mitchell, the film script supervisor, stated in a suit last month. She said the actor intentionally pulled the hammer back and pulled the trigger. Now, that obviously seems a lot more reasonable, given that's how these things actually work.
Okay, that's interesting. So there is actually someone who is saying it happened differently. And she's the film script supervisor. One thing you ought to be careful with is obviously if there's people that are potentially liable, they might tell tales of other people doing things wrong in order to try and like apportion the blame. But I don't know if this person, the script supervisor, is that involved that they would need to like do something like that, So yeah.
It's like, I don't know what it is about these far lefties, but like, they blame first it's the SUV that did it. And now Alex out here actually saying,
what?
Well, it wasn't me. It was the prop.
Well, first of all, he's a liberal, not a far lefty. But who is saying who's saying the SUV is the responsible, not the person that drove it? God, has anyone heard that point? Is there like some weird Twitter account that's saying that? People said that an SUV ran over people because we didn't know who did it yet. Shitty headlines, maybe? Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking for askers who asked about the far... No one far left is involved in any of this stuff. God damn it.
It had some sort of vendetta against me. That prop was probably a Trump supporter.
What?
Alex's full interview will air at 8 p.m. Thursday. I don't think I'll be staying up to watch that. His wife... Hilaria, I don't care, on social media that says she's had difficulty talking to the couple's children about it. Well, you don't need to talk to your kids about it at all. And it's been kind of funny that how they've made this all about them. Does anybody even remember the name of the woman besides, you know, us, me, who's covering it, you, the viewer?
I love the fact that he's just revealed that his Betty buys is at like 7 p.m. or something. His Betty buys is at 7. He's like, oh, I've got to be under the covers by 7 p.m. Otherwise, wifey doesn't like it. I've got to be under the covers by 7 p.m. because wifey normally brings home one of her friends for an overnight stay in the spare room, so I can't stay up that late. Wifey tells you to get lost. I hear all these weird sounds. I think they're just eating pizza. Downstairs. I don't think they're doing anything else. Also, the toilet's downstairs, so if I need to relieve myself, I need to use the piss drawer. Oh my god. Listen, I think, okay, there is a less than 0% chance that Jeremy Hambley, TheQuartering, is a cuckold. I think based on some of the evidence that we've got, I think we can be fairly certain that there's a less than 0% chance he's a cuckold. As someone recently wheelchair bound, don't make fun of piss jars. Oh god, when I had my neurological condition, there was talk of putting like a catheter in. You know what a catheter is, right? Because I was having difficulty with bodily functions because I was like pretty much more or less paralyzed from the waist down. And I was like, you know, I got out of bed. I was like, no, I'm not having a catheter put in. I got over to that toilet. I can't remember what happened, but yeah. Damn, that was a scary time.
Rust assistant director says he didn't pull, and it was a misfire. That's not how a single action revolver works. Again, they expect you.
Well, I mean, no, it's not how a single action revolver works, but that's the point, isn't it? It does that in opposition to how it's supposed to work. It's like not a manufacturing, but it's like that's not well maintained. Or there's some sort of mechanical failing. So yeah, I don't know what he's talking about here.
You to be dumb. They expect you to not be able to understand the basics of this. The basics of the single action is there is no misfire. There is an intentional act of pulling back the hammer. There's an intentional act of either, you know, activating that hammer some way or another. You know, if the story had been that it fell on the floor and discharged, then you could call that a misfire. But not, I mean, he still had to pull the hammer back intentionally and release it. I don't know why these people this entire time. So you see attorneys for Lisa
I mean, look, I'm not even really that invested in it, right? I'm not even that invested in it. Maybe he did pull the trigger, maybe he didn't, right? The problem I've got is, again, it's this like pushing of misinformation that these people do. And they're making it seem like it's totally impossible that the gun could have gone off without pulling the trigger, which just isn't correct. It could potentially, as rare as it is, it could potentially have had an accidental discharge, right? And that's something that is a possibility. So I think you just need to kind of, you know, keep that as a possibility, even if it turns out that didn't happen, you know? So I don't know. I just think this is like kind of irresponsible, you know?
Told the AD said the same thing. The entire time, AB had his finger outside the trigger guard, parallel to the barrel. Hall told me since day one he thought it was a misfire. But that's not the definition of a misfire. It's do they think we're stupid? I don't really understand. I mean, obviously the worst part about this is, you know, that someone lost their life. It's great and all to dunk on, you know, psychopath Alec, but that's not going to bring her back. And, you know, ultimately that it still sucks. Obviously there's a huge lapse in any kind of safety around it. You can't just come out here and tell people that the trigger wasn't pulled. That's just not how these things work. And so he runs on to this like far lefty news show. Like if they had any kind of expert on if even George Snuffleupagus had done 30 seconds worth of research about the prop, he would have simply said, wait a minute, how did okay, you didn't pull the trigger, but did you pull the hammer back? You know, like, these are intentional acts that they're just going to give him a pass on. And I would argue that, you know, he certainly needs some sort of charges, you know, of the reckless variety, as opposed to, you know, anything intentional.
Charges of the reckless variety. What does that even mean? Is he talking about like reckless endangerment? There's like some criminal charges that are based around the concept of reckless endangerment, right? Is that what he means? I don't know. I don't know what he's getting at exactly. Yeah, he's watched a couple of TV court cases, hasn't he?
I fully believe it was an accident, a tragic one. But it's one that could have been prevented, and that's perhaps the worst part about it. You have multiple failure points, whether it's this rookie armorer who's clearly not good at her job and hasn't been good at her job after, you know, we looked at history where there's another misfire on set with Nicolas Cage. There's the person that handed it to him and pronounced that it was cold without actually checking it. Then there's Alec, who could have checked it and didn't. Now he's coming out here with this absurd lie that, oh, I never pulled the trigger. It must have been a spooky ghost that did this. I mean, if you believe this, by the way, these are the people that are the ones pushing for the strongest restrictions on our ability to defend ourselves.
Wait, what's this? Alec accidentally found the hammer. What is it? Okay, what does that mean, found the hammer? And it's not really accidental for Alec, because he thought the gun was cold. It's not his responsibility. Alec didn't mean to shoot anyone. He didn't even know he had a live round in the gun. He could have just as easily shot himself. I mean, yeah, the fact that there was that live round in the gun is the craziest thing of all, you know? Just a complete lack of safety standards on set, from the sounds of it. Well, obviously, we'll wait for the court case to find out the exact details, but yeah. Quartering trying to shit on someone else for not doing 30 seconds of research. Very rich. I mean, true. Fanning the hammer is when people hit fire while slapping the hammer back between each shot. Oh, right, okay. Could a jostle pull the trigger? Well, my understanding, I'll be corrected if I'm wrong on this. So I said this earlier, I'm pretty sure I'm right. There's a thing called a cowboy reload. And what that is on these single action revolvers, or like a revolver like that, is where you have five, well, there's 6 chambers for bullets, but you only chamber 5 rounds. The 6th round is empty. And then when you've got it in your hip holster or whatever, the hammer rests over the empty chamber, because those guns didn't have many safety features back then. If you apply too much pressure to the hammer when it's in your holster, it can actually set the bullet off. So that's why they had to do it like that. The trigger doesn't have to be engaged for the gun to go off. Yeah, precisely.
So
anyway,
just think about that. He wants you to believe he didn't pull the trigger. That's obviously highly unlikely. But this is what the media is going to push. He's going to shed some crocodile tears, and he's going to pretend like that evil prop just is out to get him. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.
There we go. Damn. Well, the Quartering doesn't know what he's talking about at all and just wants to dunk on Alec Baldwin because he mocked Daddy Trump. Actually, a half cock is a term that refers to your penis. Well, you learn something new every day. Thank you.